Persian gents, welcome to UX, and this is why the F-15E and USS Lincoln exercise is not just a drill. But channel Navy Decoded, another Navy Decoded video, really good channel, up-and-coming channel apparently. Official press release called Operation Agile Spartan, a routine training event. Do not believe the handshake. I mean, yeah, come on, man, really? This is happening near Iran. It's an exercise. I'm pretty sure Iran is doing exercise near them as well, and Trump is like, yeah, don't come close to our boats. Don't touch our boats. That's what's happening right now. As soon as the boat touching starts, too many people are going to be touched after that. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Let's watch this one.
January 2026, the Middle East. In our last briefing, we analyzed the mathematics behind the USS Abraham Lincoln's emergency sprint from the Pacific. We looked at the nuclear propulsion, the logistics of speed, and the sheer audacity of moving 100,000 tons of sovereignty across the globe in record time. But today, a new variable has appeared on the radar, and this one changes the equation entirely. The Pentagon has officially activated Operation Agile Spartan 26.1. If you read the press releases, the media is calling this a joint exercise. They are calling it a routine training event designed to foster inter-service interoperability between the Navy and the Air Force. Do not believe the handshake. In the military world, you do not mobilize a strategic fighter squadron, tank them across 7,000 miles of ocean, and deploy them into the most volatile choke point on Earth just to do calisthenics. This is not a drill. This is a rehearsal. But look closer at the guest list. Who did the Air Force send to this party? They didn't send the F-22 Raptor, the king of the sky. They didn't send the B-21 Raider, the new...
That pisses me off, man. Why not use F-22? If you're going to use something, this is F-22's day to shine. F-47 is coming. F-22 has never been used in this way. Like, yeah, for some like ground attack purposes, sure, in Middle East. But this, like, why not use that? I don't know.
Nuclear ghost. They sent the 490...
Wait a minute, I don't think you can put F-22 on aircraft carrier, right? That's the problem, I'm pretty sure.
4th Fighter Squadron, the Panthers, and they are flying the F-15E Strike Eagle. This is the anomaly. The F-15 is a design from the 1970s. It has the radar cross-section of a barn door. It is loud. It is dirty. It is technically obsolete in the age of...
A, B, C, E. Oh, E is like a all-purpose ground attack and all-purpose vehicle, like F-35 is supposed to be. F-15C, the Eagle, is a superiority plane, right? E is kind of modern and a bit changed.
Stealth. So here's the question you need to ask. Why does the United States Navy, the force that possesses the USS Abraham Lincoln, the most powerful mobile airbase in human history, need help from a 50-year-old Air Force jet? Is the king of the sea unable to protect itself? The answer is yes, but not for the reasons you think. This is the paradox. Why do we pair the F-35C, the most advanced, invisible stealth fighter ever built, with the F-15E, a brute force relic of the Cold War? One is invisible, the other is a target. One is a scalpel, the other is a sledgehammer. The analysts in Washington call this a regression. Here at Navy Decoded, we call it the physics of volume. Stealth has a price. To be invisible, you have to hide your weapons. To hide your weapons, you have to shrink them. But when your target is a command bunker buried under 30 feet of reinforced concrete, subtlety is useless. Stealth doesn't break concrete. Mass breaks concrete. You don't need a ghost, you need a truck. Today, we are going to decode how the Pentagon is turning it.
I don't know, man. I get it. Like F-15E has like one of the largest payload, and F-15 is like proper heavyweight. But F-35 has been tuned in a way long term that it can fit a way many different type of weapons. You can kind of use F-35 if you really wanted to. F-22, I don't know about F-22, but I'm pretty sure F-22 is similar. You can fit a lot of things in that as well. F-15E is like multi-purpose. They could have used F-35. I think they don't want to risk it being shot down and Iran getting the technology. That's what it is. But this has two things to it. What if Iran actually fights back and destroys a lot of F-15E? Wouldn't that cause a bad reputation? Like in India, Pakistan thing. Pakistan shot down a lot of Rafales and like, oh, we shot down Rafale. And it became a thing. This might be similar. Oh, we shot down American planes and yeah, I don't know. In today's like fake news world, people will just talk about that.
an obsolete airframe into the most dangerous component of the modern kill chain. We are going to ignore the politics. We are going to ignore the press release. We are going to look at the physics of destruction. Welcome back to Navy Decoded.
Yeah.
To understand why the F-15E is here, you first have to understand why the carrier is failing. And I don't mean mechanical failure. I mean geometric failure. Look at the map, the Persian Gulf. To a tourist, it's water. To a naval strategist, it is a bathtub. It is a geographic trap. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. For a Nimitz-class carrier, entering this water is a nightmare. A carrier relies on maneuverability. It relies on disappearing into the open ocean. But inside the Gulf, the USS Abraham Lincoln becomes a fixed target in a very small cage. That is why, in 2026, the Lincoln is not in the Gulf. It is forced to hold station here, in the North Arabian Sea, outside the range of the coastal batteries. But safety creates distance. And this brings us to the first variable, space saturation. Right now, looking at the Iranian coast, we aren't just seeing a few missile batteries. We are seeing thousands of short-range ballistic missiles, or SRBMs. We are seeing anti-ship cruise missiles. We are seeing hundreds of fast attack craft swarming the littorals. The threat density is absolute. The reaction time is 0. Now look at the flight deck of the Lincoln.
There is also one of my concerns that Iran is like really, this time they are going all in. In poker terms, literally going all in. Here's tons of ballistic missile launches, this and that. Is an armada with 6-7 ships enough to tackle Iran? I know America is too powerful, but still, 6-7 ships, is that enough to tackle Iran with all those launchers and things?
Look at the F-18 Super Hornets. What are they carrying? If you zoom in on the pylons, you won't see 2,000-pound bombs. You will see AIM-9X Sidewinders. You will see AIM-120 AMRAAMs. This is the overloaded shield. Because the carrier is operating so far from the target to stay safe, the Super Hornet fleet is forced to play defense. They are the immune system of the strike group. They are flying combat air patrols, CAP, 24/7. Their job is to swat down suicide drones. Their job is to sink the swarm of speedboats trying to ram the hull. Every F-18 dedicated to saving the ship is an F-18 that cannot be used to strike the enemy. The offensive firepower of the carrier strike group has been locked into a defensive posture. The shield is up, but the sword is sheathed. So you ask, what about the F-35C? The Lincoln carries the Black Knights of VM FA-314. The F-35C is the solution, right? Wrong. The F-35C faces the physics of stealth. This aircraft is a miracle of engineering. It can fly through a radar net without generating a return signal. But to do that, it must carry all its munitions internally. Open the schematic. Look at the internal weapon bays. They are small. They are designed for air-to-air missiles or 2,000-pound GBU-31 JDAMs. A GBU-31 is a formidable weapon. It destroys buildings. It destroys bridges. But the enemy knows this. That is why the enemy has spent the last 2 decades digging. The nuclear program, the command and control centers, they are not on the surface. They are buried deep underground. They are encased in layers of steel and high-density concrete. To kill them, you need a penetrator. You need a specialized weapon. And here is the friction point. The weapons required to crack those bunkers physically do not fit inside the F-35C. If you hang them on the wings, you lose stealth. If you lose stealth, the S-300s kill you. So here is the...
Is that true though? I mean, I get it. If you put weapons underneath it, it kills the stealth. But by how much? Is it killed so much that S-300 can actually target you? I don't know about that, man. I mean, they would still have a hard time locking it on. I don't know.
The dilemma. We have the shield, the F-18, but it is overwhelmed protecting the ship. We have the scalpel, the F-35, but it lacks the mass to cut through the bone. We are staring at a 10-meter thick wall of concrete, and we are holding a pocket knife. We need a sledgehammer, Enter the solution, the kinetic solution, the 494th Fighter Squadron, the Panthers. Let's strip away the nostalgia. The F-15E Strike Eagle is not a fighter in the modern sense. It is a platform engineered for kinetic saturation. Look at the numbers. Maximum takeoff weight, 81,000 pounds. That is 40 tons of aluminum and titanium screaming into the sky. Payload capacity, 23,000 pounds. That is 10.5 tons of ordnance. Do the math. One F-15E Strike Eagle can carry the explosive payload of 3 F-35s combined. This is not precision strikes. This is industrial delivery. But we didn't bring them here for standard bombs. We brought them here for one specific weapon that solves the geometry problem, the GBU-72 Advanced 5K Penetrator. Forget the old stories about bombs made from gun barrels. That was 1991. This is 2026. The GBU-72 is 5,000 pounds of specialized Eglin steel alloy. It is a kinetic needle. To understand why this weapon exists, you have to understand the physics of the nail. To drive a nail through reinforced concrete, weight isn't enough. You need sectional density. Here is the engineering reality. Most gravity bombs have thin steel skins. When they hit a hardened bunker at Mach 0.8, they fail structurally. They deform. They pancake on impact, and the energy dissipates sideways instead of downwards. The GBU-72 is different. Its casing is forged from high-performance alloy designed to contain an explosion, not just deliver one. It does not crumple. It transfers 100% of its kinetic energy into a single, concentrated point. Inside that steel casing sits the smart fuse. This device is designed to survive an impact shock.
Yeah, a bunker buster basically, a kind of, right? Not like, probably not the B2 use, that's a big one, a smaller one.
Of over 10,000 Gs. It does not detonate on contact. It feels the deceleration. It waits. It burrows through 30 feet of earth and 10 feet of concrete. It waits until it detects the void of the room inside. Only then does it trigger. But to activate that physics equation, you need terminal velocity. You need to drop it from the stratosphere. And this creates a launch platform requirement that disqualifies almost every other aircraft in the inventory. To drop a GBU-72, you need an aircraft with a frame strong enough to carry a 5,000-pound load on the centerline without snapping the titanium spar. You need engines powerful enough to drag that weight up to 30,000 feet to give the bomb enough potential energy to reach penetration speed. The F-35 cannot do it. The Bay is...
Yeah, but F-22 can. F-22 is more powerful than F-15. That was its job.
Is too small. The F-18 cannot do it. It lacks the legs and the thrust-to-weight ratio to haul that load deep into enemy territory and return. Only the F-15E has the brute mechanical capacity to do this job. But it's not just about weight, it's about station time. Look at the fuselage of the Strike Eagle. Those ugly bulges on the sides are conformal fuel tanks, CFTs. They increase drag, yes, but they hold thousands of pounds of extra jet fuel without taking up a weapon station. This gives the F-15E the ability to loiter. It can take off from a remote strip, fly to the Persian Gulf, and sit in the sky. It waits. It circles. It becomes a floating magazine of high explosives.
Yeah, I understand all this, but I don't know, man. This kind of take away the advantage of America, basically, a stealth advantage. This plane can be targeted by any system if you do it right, like even S-300 or like some chasing planes that Iran might have, like this simplistic like cruiser missiles can simplistic missiles can target it, right? Because there is no stealth. This kind of opens up the possibility of like back and forth. Like these planes might get shot down, which is like a weird thing when you think about it. When you think about America versus Iran, I don't know. I'm pretty sure F-22 can do all these things. Yes, stealth will be lower because of all the weapons, but still not going to be as bad as F-15s.
When the Lincoln signals a target, the F-15 doesn't have to launch. It is already there. It engages the afterburners. The Pratt & Whitney F-100 engines dump raw fuel into the exhaust. It pushes 40 tons of metal past the sound barrier. It turns potential energy, altitude, and chemical energy, fuel, into kinetic energy, speed. It becomes the fastest, heaviest response team on the planet. But there is a flaw in the plan. On a modern radar scope, the F-15E is not a bird. It is a flying barn door. In a vacuum, the Iranian air defense network would chew it up and spit it out before it ever released a weapon. This brings us to the integrated logic. Warfare in 2026 is not a dogfight. It is not Top Gun. It is a data management process. We call this networked lethality. The machine never fights alone. Watch the sequence. The cycle begins in silence. The F-35C launches from the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Arabian Sea and pushes into the red zone.
Also destroys the radars and like S-300s, and then it'll make sense.
But the pilot keeps his radar off. He flies in passive mode. He is a ghost. Using the EOTS, the electro-optical targeting system, he visually scans the desert floor. He sniffs the electromagnetic spectrum. He detects the pulse of the Iranian S-300 radar. He locates the ventilation shafts of the underground bunkers. He finds the target, but he does not shoot. He simply sends a burst of data. That signal wakes up the enabler. Miles away, the EA-18G Growler receives the coordinates. This is the most important aircraft you never hear about. The Growler activates its ALQ-99 jamming pods.
I hear about that all the time. What you talking about, son? Everybody knows Growler, right?
Doesn't fire bullets, it fires energy. It blasts the specific frequencies of the enemy radar with high-power noise, creating a strobe on the enemy screens. It blinds the S-300. It confuses the guidance loops. The Growler effectively carves an invisible corridor through the enemy airspace, a tunnel of static. And through that open tunnel, the executioner arrives. Now, and only now, does the F-15E enter the fight. The Strike Eagle dives into the corridor carved by the Growler. The pilot doesn't need to search for the target. The F-35 already sent the grid. The pilot doesn't need to dodge missiles. The Growler has already blinded the shooters. The F-15E is simply the delivery mechanism. It releases the GBU-72. The weapon falls. Physics takes over. 5,000 pounds of hardened steel slams into the desert floor. It penetrates the bunker. It detonates. The target is erased. This is the reality of the kill chain. The F-15E is the muscle, but the muscle is useless without the brain of the F-35 and the nervous system of the Growler. We didn't bring the F-15E to replace the carrier. We brought it to complete the circuit.
Everything's a tool, that's what it is. Tools has to be used the way it's supposed to. You use hammer for hammering things. Use drill for drilling things. You don't slam the drill as a hammer. This is logistical power of America, basically. This is proper, like, it's not simplistic, like, who is the best? Which is the best plane? No, everybody has their roles. What do you mean best? I'm pretty sure F-22 can do the jobs of F-15, but yeah, I'm guessing F-15 might be cheaper and less risk thing. And yeah, I'm pretty sure like an F-22 is not that many, so like maintaining it is a problem in itself. That's why they're making F-47 in the first place. Once F-47 comes, like, ooh, all right. So yeah, this like everybody has their place. Can they use B-1 Lancer to like drop these bombs instead of F-15s? B-1 Lancer is fast plane, right? Like high-speed plane, and it can drop multiple. I don't know. But yeah, if F-15 can do it properly, why you need B-1 Lancer? I don't know. But yeah, this is like this will probably happen if the attack starts. This channel is awesome, man. I've never seen a video who explains this well.
But the engineering doesn't stop in the air. To truly understand Agile Spartan, you have to look at the ground. War is not just about shooting. War is about basing. For the last 20 years, the US Air Force operated out of massive super bases like Al Udeid in Qatar. We built Starbucks, we built swimming pools, we built concrete palaces.
Another thing, why the fuck would they say no to America if America is literally controlling these ports and like pouring money in? Wouldn't that piss off Trump? Because they're saying like, oh, maybe Saudi Arabia and Qatar might say, oh, you can't come here. Isn't that a problem?
But in 2026, those palaces are death traps. Iranian ballistic missiles have those coordinates hard-coded into their guidance systems. They can wipe out a fixed runway in the first 10 minutes of a conflict. And if your runway is a crater, your F-15 is just a very expensive paperweight. So the doctrine has changed. We call it ACE, Agile Combat Employment. This is the strategy of the Nomad. It begins with dispersion. The 494th Squadron no longer parks its jets in a neat little row. That is a target-rich environment. Instead, they split the wolf pack. They fracture the squadron into small, mobile elements. Some jets deploy to austere contingency airfields with no names. Others divert to backup runways that barely appear on civilian maps. They don't rely on established infrastructure, they rely on geographic anonymity. By scattering the force, you jam the enemy's targeting calculus. Instead of aiming at one massive coordinate, the enemy has to hunt for a dozen moving variables. You dilute their fire. You bankrupt their missile supply by forcing them to chase ghosts. But scattering your jets creates a logistics nightmare. How do you fuel a squadron that is spread across 1,000 miles of empty desert? You strip away the red tape. You initiate the hot pit. Watch the process. An F-15E lands after a strike mission. It taxis to the end of the runway, but the pilot does not shut down. The canopy stays closed. The radar stays online. The Pratt & Whitney engines are
What is this? What is that? I've never seen that.
still spinning, screaming at idle. A C-130 transport lands next to it. Fuel hoses are dragged out across the tarmac. Ground crews pump JP.
Yeah, there you go. The pizza delivered to you in 30 minutes or less. That's what C-130 is doing. Here you go. Here's your fuel.
Fuel into the jet while the exhaust is still hot enough to melt skin. Ordnance crews hang fresh bombs on the pylons in the swirling dust. 20 minutes. That is the standard. The hose disconnects, the F-15 throttles up and launches immediately. There is no downtime, there is no coffee break. The goal is to minimize ground time. On the ground, an aircraft is vulnerable. On the ground, it is useless. In the air, it is a predator. By utilizing hot pit refueling, the Air Force turns a scattered land-based squadron into a force with the relentless operational tempo of a carrier deck. They keep the pressure constant. They keep the noise level at maximum. So,
The only thing this video does is like make me sound right. Oh, there was a time where I was talking about F-15, how bad as it is. F-16 and F-15, people were like, you know, the smug face, smug emoji, and like whatever that meme is. He's talking about like 40, 50 year tech. We already have 35, 22. What you gonna say now, man? Eh? A knife is a knife. Look at how US is relying on F-15. F-15 is awesome. Right? This is like people have this like iPhone mentality. Oh, iPhone 17 is better than 16. That's not how military things work. F-15 is badass.
but let's close the loop. To the untrained eye, Agile Spartan looks like a chaotic museum exhibit. You see a Navy stealth fighter flying wingman with an Air Force relic from the Cold War. But look closer. You are not looking at a joint exercise. You are looking at a single organism. This is the ultimate expression of American military philosophy. We do not search for a Wunderwaffe, a single, magical superweapon that wins the war by itself. That is a fantasy for amateurs. We build systems. We took the F-18, the shield. We took the F-35, the eye. And we took the F-15E, the hammer. And we fused them together with a data link that moves at the speed of light. What you are witnessing is the alchemy of war. We took a 50-year-old airframe, gave it the vision of
I'm pretty sure they're building B-21 as like one answer for all. It was so stealthy, like, yeah, it's like B-2, but like smaller, but it can be very stealthy. It can do, or house system that can do a job of a fighter. So it probably can do all these things if it really wanted to. Send in 20 B-21 Raiders and their Raiders? Yeah, send in 20 B-21s and there you go. And they will do their thing. But you don't have B-21 yet, that's the thing. In future, I can see them B-21 just doing this shit.
of a fifth-generation Ghost and backed it with the nuclear endurance of an aircraft carrier. We turned an obsolete truck into the deadliest sniper rifle on the planet. Agile Spartan proves that we don't need to build a new plane to win the fight. We just need to understand the geometry of violence. We don't rely on luck. We rely on the fact that our old iron can talk to our new silicon. We don't fight fair. We fight with math. We fight with logistics. We fight with overwhelming industrial capacity. So the next time you see that dirty, loud F-15E roaring off a runway in the
Who the fuck is gonna say that? Look at the dirty and loud F-15. Anybody who sees the F-15 going past, they'll be excited. They'll be jumping up and down, like seeing some kind of spectacle. Nobody sees a proper jet like that. They're like, oh, look at that. Oh my God. Oh, I'm very Victorian. I don't like noise. Who's gonna say that?
desert, don't you dare call it a relic. Call it the kinetic sovereign. If you want to understand how the military machine actually works,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're also making, what is it, EX? EX, I think, yeah, F-15EX. Wait, it is EX, right? EX, yeah, EX, who's gonna have the highest payload of any plane of ever, right? Probably higher than even the F-15E. And there is also, what is it, SE or something, which is going to be like painted up, insanely stealthy even for F-15. So they're already creating more opportunities for F-15 rather than retiring it. That's how badass it is. They made F-15 against MiG-25, a mythical plane that didn't exist, because it was an interceptor, not a fighter, and they came out with an insane plane. They are still using it to this day with some updates. Right, well, if you like my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.